Hello, Marina here. I wanted to talk about an album that I really like a lot called Forest of Equilibrium by Cathedral. And this was like their first album. It came out in 1991. They had a few other songs that came out before that called, it's kind of like a demo type thing called In Memoriam, which is also very good. But I recently got this on vinyl, so I wanted to talk about it. Um, I don't know if this is really a review, because, like, sometimes music reviews, I find them to be very difficult because sometimes it's hard to put to words how an album makes you feel. Um, and when it comes to the technicalities of the album, you can almost listen to it and experience it for yourself. But I just wanted to talk about it because I think it's an awesome album in my opinion. I think they formed in 1989. Um, Lee Dorian, the singer, was the singer for Napalm Death, and then he left and formed Cathedral. And I think they were going for something more like, I guess, doomy. Um, it's a bit more experimental as well in some ways. I think most songs on this album, except Soul Sacrifice, are over 5 minutes long, which I could see how that could deter some people. But I grew up listening to like Pink Floyd's Atom Heart Mother, which is like 20 minutes long. So that never really bothered me personally. To me, that like is sometimes just part of like the creative experience, just with music, like having different lengths. If you view it as more of an art form than a song for the charts, sometimes songs end up longer, and that's fine. So it doesn't really bother me. I just like instantly liked it when I first discovered it, which wasn't that long ago in retrospect, but um I don't know what it is about it. I liked how on the first song, the introduction song, there is a flute. I think there's some flutes in some of the other songs as well, but like I love the sound of a flute. I think it just adds something unique to it, like because you don't hear a lot of doom songs with a flute, in my opinion. Um, and I don't know, it just kind of I just think a flute sounds cool. And Jethro Tull used a flute, obviously. Um, but I don't know, it makes it more unique in my opinion. And from what I understand, they were kind of commemorating a lot of the bands that they loved, like, Saint Vitus, Witchfinder General, The Obsessed, Pentagram, and obviously Black Sabbath. But even though they were starting as to kind of like commemorate those bands, they definitely created their own unique thing, in my opinion. Um, a lot of like the themes on this album, to me, I don't know, they just seem like kind of somebody who's personally going through something. Um, I guess some people kind of regard it as kind of like more fantasy or fantastical elements on the album, but it just it kind of reminded me of like there's like a Jimi Hendrix quote where he talked about how basically fantasy sometimes reflects reality, metaphors and stuff like that. But I don't know whether I view this as a fantastical album. It just sounds like somebody, like a very like personal. It just feels very personal to me. Um, and then here's the inside of the album. You see, it has like all the lyrics and the band, but the artwork is so cool too. I think that's part of the reason I was drawn to it, is because it just looked interesting to me. Um, and I think all of the Cathedral albums use the same artist, from what I understand. And I think the idea of it was like like a, from what I understand personally, is like a society without religion, and then there's like a balance between like the good and the bad, light and dark type thing. But it's just kind of like very intricate. It kind of reminds me of how you look at a Hieronymus Bosch painting and you, like, if you look deeply into it enough, you always like find something new. It's just like very detailed and interesting. Um, but I basically just wanted to talk about it because, like, I think it's amazing. I guess I could kind of go over some of the songs. Um, the first song is Commiserating the Celebration, which is just one of my favorites because it starts with that flute intro that's like, it's so cool. And then it kind of just goes into like this slow, heavy riff. And it's just awesome. It kind of has like this, oh, I can't even describe it. You'd have to listen to it. There's also Ebony Tears, which just kind of like starts really quiet and then he goes, whoa. It's awesome as well. Serpent Eve, one of my other favorites. I noticed in this one it has like a very unique melody in my opinion. Equilibrium, another awesome one. So I would say like there's also Funeral Request and Reaching Happiness Touching Pain, which I love the song title of that. And that one's like very slow and doomy almost. Like it's dreadful in the best way possible, honestly. And then the one that kind of is a little different that stands out from like some of the other albums, I mean not albums, songs, is Soul Sacrifice. And that's like kind of like the one that is less long and it goes by faster and it freaking rocks. It rocks. So that's about it. And I know I'm not really like saying much other than that I like it. It's just because like I have trouble putting towards like reviewing an album. I could never find words. And it's not just this album, it's almost for any album. Because to me, like, art invokes like a feeling. And like, sometimes it invokes certain feelings that a word doesn't really match. And I kind of feel this way about this album. But part of the reason I wanted to talk about it is because I just don't hear them talked about as much. Not that you never hear them getting talked about, especially for people who are kind of like doom metal nerds like me. You could there's probably some talk about it, but like usually people hear about like Candlemass and stuff like that, which is all great. Don't get me wrong, but I just wanted to point this album out, and it's literally become one of my favorites in a short period of time. But I just find it interesting, because like another thing is like some people dislike the vocals, which is understandable because like some vocals are just not for everybody, but I sometimes prefer unique vocals because like once vocals start to like sound like one concrete thing or similar, kind of like a lot of stuff you hear on the radio where nothing against it, but like where the voices have become sort of homogenized, to me that's a little more disturbing than a unique voice. So I don't know. And I don't mind the slowness. I don't mind the long songs. I think it's awesome. And I like that they were doing something different at the time, cuz I think from what I understand a lot of like death metal and like faster stuff was going on. So I think that's awesome. And so I just wanted to talk about this album. Thank you for watching.